Hello, hello, hello. It's me, your boy, Dom, and this is Dom's Sketchcast, episode 38. That's 38. 38, wouldn't that be great? How many Beach Boys fans do we have in the audience tonight? Let me know by just typing a little zero or any digit. If you type any stray digit in the comments below. Even if you type a comment later on and there's a number in it, I'm going to assume that you are a Beach Boys fan. This is Dom's Sketchcast. I can't talk. It's Dom's Sketchcast. It's my show. I'm Dom. Welcome to those of you who've never been here. We like to do a couple of things on this show. We like to draw. We like to talk. We like to talk about that awful Six Flags commercial with that guy. You know that Six Flags commercial that goes that shit?
Yeah, the old guy was right. In the end, no one ever says, I wish I'd worked around the house more. Six Flags. It's playtime.
That commercial was invented by Satan himself. It's one of the worst commercials ever made with that old guy. And the whole premise was this old guy was like, I'm too old to be enjoying life. But no, he loves roller coasters and having fun too. Isn't that a great premise? As much as you'll hear millennials talk about how great the 90s and early 2000s were, there was a lot of shit that sucked, especially in our media. So don't listen to us. That's my advice to you. I'm going to answer some questions from you all. And then we're going to hear from our sponsor at Pain Forest. We're going to hear from some representatives at Pain Forest that contacted me, and then we're going to, that'll be the show. We have a beautiful drawing here that I'm working on, which started out as a portrait of the dead king, and now it's a continuation of that portrait. This strange man who actually commissioned me to make this. The Dead King commissioned me to make this thing, and now I'm working on it. I don't know where the Dead King is from. I don't know when he is from. I just kind of do things that he tells me to do when he tells me, because I think I'm going to benefit from it somehow. Maybe. He could be a supervillain. I have no fucking clue, but for now, I'm just doing what the Dead King tells me to do. And he's the Pain Forest representative. But we'll get to that. We're going to get to all of that. First, I want to give you guys a quick announcement. The best way to support me right now is patreon.com/valet. If you go on there, you will have access to many cool things. For instance, exclusive vlogs, exclusive short films that I'm working on. You're going to get to see PSDs of what I'm working on every once in a while, like from those how to draw videos and stuff like that. I'll post those on my Patreon. You're going to get to see old cursed content from my childhood. Old cursed content that no one should be able to see. Sketches from my sketchbooks. Previews of new shit that I'm working on, exclusive valet parking chat, which is in the Discord. And all of you, the Discord is free. You can go in there. It's a place that we chat, share art, that sort of thing. Link to that is in the show notes. But there's an exclusive valet parking chat that I check daily, and you all can interact with me on there if you are a patron. The top tier valet patron, if you're in the top tier, you're entered into a raffle to get an original piece of art. That's how it is right now. Every 3 months, I send someone from that tier an original piece of fucking art. And we have a very happy top tier valet patron who actually sent in a question this week, which we'll be getting to. But yeah, patreon.com/valet is where you can get that stuff. And also, if you're just the kind of person who just wants to support and sign up on there for the $5 tier, totally fine. You can do that. Let's hop into a couple of questions to keep me company while I do this portrait that I'm being forced to do from Pain Forest and the Dead King. Let's see what kind of questions we have here. Got a question about water, a water-related question that was submitted on YouTube from a guy named Simon Torres. Simon asks, If you could swap the origin of any liquid with that of water, which liquid would you choose? So swapping blood and water, for example, would create blood oceans. Blood rivers and our brains would be 80% blood, but water would run through our veins. You know, blood would have been the first answer that I made for this, but let me just recap. Let me just recap the question real quick. Basically, you're asking me, what would I swap water with? No, what liquid would I swap with water? So if I say mercury, every source of mercury in the universe is turned into water, right? And if I say coffee, every source of coffee in the world, everywhere that coffee exists, is suddenly turned into water. This is basically like a waterbender's limit break. Like if Sokka from Avatar suddenly got powers and he was like, fuck this shit, I'm tired of being this guy with no powers, man, fuck this. And he flips out, he would just take out all the water, replace that shit with coffee. Or other way around, coffee with water, right? I get to replace something with water. Get to replace an element, a liquid with water. So it could be blood, wine, coffee, cola, piss, urine. Wine, coffee, cola. For those of you ShamWow fans out there. Vince Offer was his name, the ShamWow guy. You follow me, camera guy? All right, so if I could replace any liquid with water, I would replace ink. All of the ink in the world, in the universe, if there's some sentient creatures out there on Saturn reading books, I want all of the ink or all of the liquid that composes ink itself, turn that shit into water. And yes, this is gonna be catastrophic, but I'm gonna be an agent of chaos today. Basically, what's gonna happen is every book that exists right now is going to have all of the ink that is printed on those pages. It's just going to turn to water. So basically, this is going to be like the biggest information loss since when? The biggest information loss since the Library of Alexandria burned down. Is that it? Maybe. I think the Romans burned down a bunch of libraries too. But I'm basically saying that if you don't have a Kindle, like all the books, all the ink, the colored ink, the black ink, blue ink that I have on all these books is just gonna turn into water, and the pages are just gonna be a bunch of smudges, no ink. It's not even gonna be a smudge of ink. It's just gonna be water, with catastrophic results. All the information lost, and you know what's gonna happen? They're gonna be like, "Hey, yo, Dom, please. We need the information back," and I'm going to be sitting back like a Bond villain. "Oh yeah, you want that information back? Give me $1,000 a month. Every month. Vote for Andrew Yang, baby." This is all just a clever Andrew Yang endorsement. Andrew Yang called me up and he was like, "Yo, Dom, man, you got to get the ink back on these books, man. I'll make you my vice president. Just get the ink back on those books. Okay?" Simon Torres, thank you for that question. Okay, let's zoom out a little bit. And then we're going to get a lay of the land. We're going to see what's happening on this image. I'm focusing a lot on this part right here with his face because it's definitely more of a portrait. But I think I'm going to block out some of his body down here and try to explore more of what this form can be. And while I do that, just get a lay of the land, we're going to go to the next question, which is from the one and only Machine Against Rage, a.k.a. Asa James, a.k.a. the top tier valet on the Dom Sketchcast Patreon. Dom says, "Hey, Dom, I got the drawing. It's fucking great. Seriously, thanks for doing those. I really appreciate it." That's straight from the horse's mouth. That's straight from Skeletor's mouth. I don't got to tell you this shit. Just listen to your peers, all right? This is a happy valet summoner. A happy valet from the valet world. Also, here's a question. What's a setting/fear that you feel hasn't really been touched in horror yet? We're always twisting things that make us comfortable like beaches or our own homes into scary shit. So what's something that hasn't been twisted yet in horror? You know, another good question from Asa James. Asa tends to ask a lot about horror, spooky shit, which I like. I like questions like that. I like that shit. Horror. I'm gonna go to the internet. I'm just gonna go to the concept of scary internet shit. I think that's one untapped realm of horror because, I mean, look at what you're doing right now. Look at what I'm doing. We're communicating through a piece of plastic and glass and a bunch of shit that we barely understand. That's flying around the universe, flying around the fucking solar system. I don't think that's how it works, but I'm gonna say it anyway. You know, all these waves of information are going through these cloud systems that are stored on servers, which a bunch of companies have access to that we can't see. Yet we're using them to do everything, to communicate, to share information, to get jobs, to work, to pass our information through. Yet I don't see horror reflecting this. I don't see a lot of movies even attempting to talk about what it feels like to be on the internet and accessing the internet. Off the top of my head, the only two movies I can think of that really dig into this are 8th Grade by Bo Burnham, which is an excellent movie, and what the fuck was that movie with John Cho where he's like unseen, unsolved, unlost. I know that's not what it is. I know that's not what it's called. Unsolved, unfettered, unbroken. It's some shit where it's like it all takes place on a computer, like from a bunch of cameras. So he's looking for his daughter, and the whole movie is told from like Facebook videos, IG, iOS. He's on a desktop doing all these searches, and you see everything through cameras. And I think that was kind of scratching that surface. It was kind of scratching that itch. On top of that, I would say Paranormal Activity. So that's 3 movies that are kind of trying to get to that. But think Blair Witch from the internet. What does a horror film look like if it's all told through IG stories and all that stuff? Now, obviously, you'd have to have someone who's like complicit in it. It would have to be some kind of a possession story where, you know, you have the typical video game thing of like, oh, here's a log of the madness that I went through, like some H.P. Lovecraftian stuff where it's like, oh, here, Instagram story A is like, oh, I'm fine, you know, but I've been hearing these voices or something. I don't know, that's weird. And she has like the dog face filter emoji. And the next day it's like she keeps doing the dog face emoji. And then it becomes like she starts barking and then the dog starts biting at her or something. That's just off the top of my head. That's just off the top of the dome. But I hope you can see where I'm going at with that. I think that's the, we're comfortable in the internet realm, but no one talks about it. You know, I was talking to my friend about, you know, she's Taiwanese, and she was telling me that they do this ritual over there where it's like when you die, they burn paper money, and they burn objects that they think that you'll need in the afterlife, which I think is just a great idea. But they also burn iPhones. They burn cell phones. They burn laptops, cars, that sort of shit, which got me thinking, all right, so basically within this particular Asian subculture, they're implying that there's a dead internet. There's an internet that can be accessed by dead people, and they need Wi-Fi. They need some kind of 4G speed to access this thing in the dead world. So that means that they should be able to access us through that dead internet. That makes sense. Excellent question, Asa James, aka Machine Against Rage, asked to me through the valet parking chat on the Discord. Thank you for that question. Keep it coming. Keep those creepy questions happening. If you guys in the comments below or listening on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you're listening to this, if you have some ideas on what you think a creepy internet movie would look like, I'm curious about it, because I can just give you one perspective of it, but I'd like to know what you all think about it. So let me know in the comments below. You can email me, you can DM me, whatever. Let's have a chat about creepy internet shit. Man, I think that'll be nice. Final question. Final question is from Dan James. Dan James asks, oh, Actually, Dan James has sent his envoy, his representative, the spray paint can, the legendary spray paint can. He's a little bit different now, though. Something's happened to him. I guess he's leveled up or some shit. Spray paint can says, next year is the end of humanity. What destroys us? Is there a sentient spray can uprising? What happens to Earth without humans? And lastly, what do you do while gifted with this knowledge to stop it? Survive, or even speed up the inevitable? That's a good question. It's a really good question. If next year is the end of humanity, that probably means that some kind of oracle told you about it, I think. It's probably some kind of oracle who knows this thing. And I think they would probably have the answer to it. I wouldn't know. I don't know these things. But the oracle probably does. So you should probably ask them, spray paint person, and they're probably going to be able to tell you some of the answers. My guess is that Earth without humans is gonna it's gonna be a lot of overgrowth of trees, trees and plants, like growing roots over cars and shit like that. And if I had this information, which I do not, but the oracles probably do, if I had this knowledge to stop it, what would I do? You would think I'd be going crazy right now, knowing that the world's gonna end next year for humans, but I'm just sitting here making this show for you all. While gifted with this knowledge to stop it, if I had the knowledge, I would talk to those oracles and I would try to bargain with them, which is not a good idea. You should never try to bargain with oracles, but hey, I mean, if Spray Paint Can and Dan James, if you guys are interested in doing that and stopping it, you should probably try to bargain. That's my guess. So, folks, thank you for your questions. And I want to remind you all, anytime, day or night, 24/7, 365, you can send me a question through ask@domrabron.com, and I might answer it on the show. You could also ask me questions in the show notes below, DM me, IG, YouTube, Facetube, InnerTubes, InnerTube, Facetube, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. All right, this portrait it's forming. It's forming into something. These are the changes that I made today, so you guys can see it. Doesn't look like much, but it's incremental. These things are incremental. We go moment by moment, episode by episode. I'm going to keep chipping away at this. I want to thank you all for watching. The show is not over, however. The show is not over. We're going to go to our sponsor from Pain Forest. The Dead King himself would like to talk to you and say a couple of things. I owe people. I owe Pain Forest and the Dead King, so I had to do this. But I think he has some interesting stuff to say to you that you might be interested in. So yes, thank you once again for watching or listening. If you're listening on iTunes and Spotify and all that, thank you. And we're going to throw it to the Dead King. I'll see you next time, episode 39. Thank you for being here with us, here at Pain Forest, and for using our product. We hope you're happy with it. Enjoy this video. It's called Ezekiel's Ride.
Hey, how are you guys? You might hear some train noises in the background because I live close to a train yard. I'm actually homeless. I'm in a box right now. There's some people throwing wet, old food at me. My week's been going pretty well. It's inching closer towards Friday, and I think it's a good time to tell you guys that I will be doing another live draw session. That's right. this Friday, the 21st, once again at let's say 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll put up annotations everywhere. You guys have been so awesome. I have a lot of fun doing those. I'm going to try and knock out maybe an hour. It will be really cool to do those weekly. I'll see whether or not I can pull that off. I suppose I should talk a little bit about this drawing. One time I was walking around DC drawing and shit, and I had this idea of a story where a bunch of black pilgrims, I guess in the 1700s, were running around with like these large rifles, sort of killing demons and like shooting magic powers around and stuff like that. I still haven't quite figured out the logistics of that. Like, are they slaves? Like, how do they get free? Like, I assume if they have powers, like, it'll be pretty hard to enslave a person with powers. Which is another thing I've been wondering. In the Marvel DC universe, any universe where people have powers, you would have to account for those sorts of things, and either powers manifested in the 19th century after a lot of massive catastrophes happened, or they happened anyway. Because, I mean, you got to think, slavery couldn't have happened if people had powers in Africa. It just wouldn't make sense. I mean, like, the Holocaust wouldn't have happened, all this sort of stuff. And, like, I guess there would have been mass wars, but I guess there would have been different wars. I just don't think we would have had our current wars, and I don't know that you can operate in our current history if you're going to have powers. Am I digging myself into a hole here by thinking too hard? I don't know. But, I don't know. Well, yeah, I know X-Men tried to tackle this a little bit by having Magneto grow up in a concentration camp, and his powers manifest when he goes through puberty in the concentration camp and sort of busts out, and, you know, he wants to seek revenge on the Nazis and everything. That's cool and all, but, like, I don't know why it was just him who got powers. And I don't know. I think it's probably too much of a hassle trying to rewrite history just to fit fit that one variable. But anyway, so I guess this character is from a alternate history where everyone has powers, and I guess slavery would be pretty hard, hard to implement in the U.S. God, so much shit would have been more difficult. Like if you know that the Native Americans in North America or any of the Americas had powers. I mean, and like Europeans came over on boats, like they would have fought them off, and maybe they wouldn't have been diseased. I don't know. So this guy is riding around on a horse, shooting at somebody. It's kind of a common pose that I play with. At this point in the drawing, I wasn't using any reference, so I kind of like fucked up the horse face. Excuse me, horse head, and the guy's body was a little anatomically incorrect. I'm pretty proud of how this drawing came out. I stuck with it. And I tried to make it a little bit more painterly than most of my drawings, where there's a lot of hard lines. So I'm currently waiting for the Strip Search finale to end. And if you guys haven't watched Strip Search, it's that Penny Arcade reality show where 12 contestants are fighting for the chance to win $15,000 and a year in the Penny Arcade studios, and basically to have their webcomic career launched. And just after someone wins this competition, you're pretty much set for life. I mean, if you work as an artist, like you could basically do an average job, which they wouldn't. Like they're going to work really hard when they win. So it's a win-win. I mean, even the people who lost in this challenge got so many followers, and it like boosted their career. It's an amazing show. I've talked to Maki from Maki Naro from the show, one of my favorite contestants, if not my favorite contestant. And I guess there are I'm going to say spoilers right now. So you know, he's one of the final three, and he's in the last competition right now. He's going to go up in the finale. I'm pretty excited. I actually get nervous watching the show. This part of the drawing is pretty interesting, where I decided to mess up what I had, just put it away and make the horse more accurate by looking at a reference image, have him looking over his shoulder. I think maybe my idea of these Black Pilgrims, it probably came from a mixture of me watching Django Unchained and reading Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy. A very good book, even though it's kind of savage. Actually, it's very savage. It's very violent, and it's incredible. I don't know. I've never read a book like that before. It's about a bunch of guys in the Wild West, a bunch of outlaws who are killing and scalping Indians for money. Ugh, I can't talk. And they fight everybody. They fight Indians. They fight the people who pay them. They fight each other. And but it's so beautifully written, even though there's like such savage, horrible stuff going on. So much racism and violence and all that good family stuff. So yeah, Blood Meridian. Check that out if you want a good book to read. I really like that horse, even though I don't usually like drawing animals. And at this point, I realized that his shoulder was too low. I mean, the guy is leaning. He should be leaning towards you, like his top half. And I also think that his now looking back at it, his top half is turned too much. Damn, I'll have to edit this later. Edit the image. I mean, drawing gun blasts are always fun as well. Little trivia: I was listening to Eminem's Relapse album while I was drawing this. A little bit of highlights. All right, thanks a lot for watching, you guys, as usual. I love all your comments and all that stuff. Live draw this Friday, the 21st of June, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Same time I always do it. It's going to be about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. I hope to see you there. Bring your questions, your requests. Yeah. Take it easy, guys.